What's over there? What's up over there with you guys?
Hey, so we're live again in the Medicine Garden. Oh, we got Chris, Abad, Greg, and Allegra in the house.
Oh,
And
good.
welcome back again. Sorry, last week there was no Medicine Garden, but some of you were in here and chatting anyway, which totally welcome. And yeah, hope you all are doing well. I am trying to be more intentional with this space because things got a little bit heated last time. I did a recording. It's a lot of divine masculine energy. But yeah, it's my responsibility hosting this space that we keep our energy grounded in, reminding each other that we all have come in here tonight to share something from the soul and to share with other people who are listening later. So being mindful of sharing space. I know people in here are highly respecting of each other, so I'm not worried. And I look forward to what we're going to talk about today, which is hopefully interesting to you about intentional community, what that means to you, and how we're being called to create that and what that might look like for each of us. And perhaps maybe we can find ways to collaborate and to build community together, which is part of the Medicine Garden's intention, is to connect people around the world. So first I want to welcome a new face in here, Allegra, if you want to introduce yourself. And
I'd love to. My name is Allegra Harrington. I'm a visual storyteller, author, and healer. And I moved to Asheville about 2 years ago. And I came because I wanted to be closer to my daughters. And I have a nurse who's here in practicing here in Asheville, and another singer-songwriter who lives in Nashville. So I get to see her from time to time. But my mission really is to create as you said, an intentional community, to bring healing to the young people, especially teen girls who are so filled with anxiety and who don't really know who they really are. And just through my creativity, I want to be able to help them. And I'm also a Latina, and I have I've done work as a dancer. I love different music, and I think young people love to move, and I wanted to bring that element in also. So I want to find my people here, and of course when I met Raileigh, it was like, wow. I just felt like such an instant connection with you, and it was really, I have found God within myself, and I love her fiercely. And so when I met you, I was like, gee, I think she's got that same thing going on. And so I'm here to bring up the vibration of our community, because it's not our job to see all the horrors that are going on in the world. It's our job to be positive and to bring in the light of love and understanding. So that's it for me.
beautiful. Allegra here in the call is closest to me where I live, and I was thinking of her today. Maybe she felt the call of a community gathering I plan to be creating here in the Southeast, hopefully starting in spring. And I just thought about a way to broadcast your artwork. Your artwork is absolutely extraterrestrial, cosmic, and it speaks to the soul of the feminine. And you're so talented. So I hope that you will be welcomed into this space, and I'll reveal that more, speaking to some more people on the ground right now to make it happen. But I know there's a deep need for community and this engagement of conscious economy, which is I want to hear by Greg and Chris. And I believe that's Rashid driving. Is that you? It's hard to see you, but
it is. How you doing, Raileigh?
nice to see you. Nice to have you in tonight. We're talking about conscious community, intentional community, and hopefully you can share your thoughts in a moment. Maybe when you're not driving, please be safe. If you're listening, that's okay. I know who you are. So
Sorry, everyone. I'll be right back. I have to run down real quick.
I got to run down and get a package real quick. I'll be right back.
No worries. Greg, how are you? You are our visitor from outside the U.S. and you
Oh,
profound insights of where you are. I was actually doing some research about Suriname, and I really resonated. I know I have ancestors, badass ancestors in Suriname. Like I just
wow.
So Greg,
Wow.
can you tell us maybe a recap what maybe you discussed last week, or just some insights with the community today of intentional community? What does that look like outside the US, where you are? In one of the
Wow.
most biodiverse places on earth right now. I was reading you have the most rain coverage as a whole country, rainforest. And that my ancestors probably escaped to that area if they could. And the coolest thing I read about Suriname was that the indigenous tribes were breaking enslaved people free and bringing them back into the forest. And I thought, wow.
Yeah.
So the culture of where you are really fascinates me, and I really hope to come visit. So please share with us your thoughts tonight and what brought you in, how you've been, and your thoughts on intentional community.
Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Well, the first thing I would like to say is thank you very much for um, accepting me in your tribe, if I may say so. Right? It's for me. It's cool to be able to reach out and connect with people outside of my normal space of reality, if I may say it like that. Right? And how I've been personally, I've been good. I've been good. I've been very, very good, to be honest. I can't say that it's let me say I've just accepted the fact that there are certain things that just, they go down, right? Maybe they don't go how you want to, but I've accepted it and I try to see the silver lining. I try to see the silver lining in everything. And regarding your question, community building, um, if I may say, if I may, um, what's the word? Sorry, I have to work on my English a little bit. But the main message in this regard, what I can give is community is more or less being able to care for each other, right? By wanting to care for each other, right?
Wow.
Right.
That's
And
good.
yes, but it's all a mind shift. It's a reality. Everybody has their own reality that they see every day that when they wake up, right? If I wake up, I get out of bed, I brush my teeth, I step on my motorbike or I go in my car, I go to work. That's my reality. If I want to get out of my reality, it's because in my mind, I try to see what would be better for me. The most Not everybody, but the most people around me are still in the mindset that the way that they can get a better life for themselves is by making sure that they take as much as possible from somebody else, because they have the idea that there's not much to go around. And in my life, I've seen it. I've been like that. It's gotten me some success. It's gotten me a lot of failure, more failure than success. So I had to think about, all right, what can I do about the mind shift? And that's for me because I see my reality now as making the mind shift and going further in a positive way. Our community is the same as the community in America, right? Along the basic lines, around the fundamentals. Maybe the fundamentals are something of the Western. It's a Western perception, right? It's a Western reality, and that's one part of it. The other part of it, as you said, what you research, regarding the indigenous tribes, the Maroons. Those were the Maroons or the descendants of the African slaves. You also have the indigenous Indians, right? So the people that you can say were from the Aztecs and the Mayans, maybe those guys came over from Peru all the way down, something like that. They still have it in the core tribal lifestyle. In its core, it's also about the community, building having a community, having elders, having people that they look up to, the young ones, having a way of growing their families, having the matriarch. In this case, you guys would say the divine feminine, right?
Feminine.
Yeah, she's the one. She controls the lineage in a way, right? But that is the core, and I still have to read up on it to be sure that what I tell you is correct. But that's the line, and those communities, in its core, have a good way of seeing life and structuring life. But that's a small, right? It's a small. hmm, it's on a small scale.
Yeah.
It's on a small scale, and all of the triggers of the Western world are now coming in, and those triggers distort the reality.
Mm.
And it's not that I'm saying that the Western philosophies and reality is bad. It's just a progression of evolution, right? It's just a progression of the human intellect and all of that. But more or less, it's a way about how can you make sure that it's in balance. The balance is the key, and that's another thing that I have my own thoughts about the balance, of course, right? But that's it in retrospect. The balance is the key, and if you want to have the balance, you must know how you can find that balance, right? These last 2 3 weeks, I've been getting a lot of chances to find my own, and my own balance is all about decisions for situations. You got a situation, you got to weigh it off. And how can you weigh it off? Your own morals and standards. But then you have to know what are those based on. That's still a journey. To be honest, it's a journey. It's a journey to find
Mhm.
the the things that can bring the balance in. That's my 2 cents in this for now. Mm.
Wow. And you're sticking to it, huh? No, I'm kidding. It was a joke.
Yes, 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 yes.
Well, you speak English really well. I love what you just said. Thank you for sharing that. It was
Yeah.
so good.
It yeah, because my mother's from Guyana.
Oh,
Yeah, my father's from Suriname. So when
oh,
I when I grew up from a little baby to about 6 7, my grandma was still with me. My grandma from my mother's side, she was still alive, and they only talked Guyanese English, and Guyanese English is a little bit, it has an accent and all of that. But
wow.
I heard the English, so
Wow.
that that's why I love the language. The language that I grew up with
You
first, and
speak
after
it
that,
well.
then yes, thank you. But I try to learn. I try to learn from you guys. I try to learn from the TV, the
Yeah.
movies and films and all of that. But the words help shape the reality. So I
Mhm.
use the words to try to explain my reality.
Yeah, you did
Right?
a good job.
No, 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 no judgments, nothing of that. Because what do I know? I don't know. I learn while living.
Yeah.
Learn while living and seeking
Yeah,
balance in this never ending journey of finding who we are and who our people are. It's been my journey.
Right,
Uh,
right.
and I wanted to share about my inspiration talking about this, and I'll be continuing to talk about community this week. Is kind of my search for understanding of who I was. Family from Vietnam and Puerto Rico. I'm triracial. If you look into my bloodline, I got ancestors around the world, and it birthed in me this weird mutt of understanding of life and understanding people with my family being indigenous and Catholic and just so many different languages, and all of it really honestly lost growing up first generation fully in America. All of it is gone. I don't really know the culture of my past, but there's a soul language that has been rising up where I can speak to the spirit of people no matter who they are, where they are. If they're speaking English, at least I would like to learn more languages and reclaim the languages of my ancestors. And so I've been on a spiritual path exploring all these communities in America, at least. And lately, because of politics, right, it's this urge to escape and go back home, but I don't know where home is. There is no true one home for me with my lineage, and just wanting to be embraced and feel safe in my culture. So I've been kind of exploring out here in America, and what my spirit spoke to me really loudly this week is don't run from where you are, but create what you want to see where you are now. And yes, I want to run to more indigenous-based societies that honor the land and Pachamama.
Yeah.
Time I have lived in rainforest in America, in North Carolina, in Western North Carolina mountains. They are temperate rainforests that need to be protected. And so it's a weird, am I the steward of this place? And yes, I believe we're all stewards of where we are because we've been seated here for a reason. But then also the dual part, the balance Greg is talking about is reaching and connecting with communities around the world. And that's how we create our star system, right? And we connect with people that otherwise we would never know unless we were in a life like this, and going to travel and exchanging vibration, raising vibration, sharing medicine, sharing culture. And so we're all constantly remembering who we are in the eyes of the divine, that we're not from here. And so there's a universal knowing and relating to one another. I know you're ready to speak.
Go ahead.
Hear from Abai or Chris Rashid tonight too.
Chris Cheney too. No, I just am saying that you speak my language. Like, you don't have to say very much, but when you say whatever comes out of your mouth, it goes right into my heart chakra, and it's a bingo for me. It's a language of the heart that I understand so quickly. And I think in a past life, I must have, been really good at this, because this incarnation, wow, I get a direct hit from people, yes, this is love. This is knowledge. This is life affirming. Yeah. And that's where I want to be, and I get triggered all the time, Greg, just like you said, but my job is not to get super triggered, because I've got work to do, I've got work to do. Yeah. So anyway, I'm happy to be here. Really happy to be here.
Soul work. It is really cool when I'm speaking online, how people resonate with my story and my spirit, and you really don't have to know what I've been through, but we know.
Oh,
Somehow there's a recognition that happens. People, I'm talking to people every day, all day, and I've never written or shared online about something that's happened to me, but they come to me and tell me that story, and I just know. So the courage to speak on these things and to lead, and for each of you also have your own platforms in your own circles, and you find people from around the world are so more connected to us than we realize. Chris, how are you doing?
hey, Chris.
Oh, I recognize you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. I'm enjoying Tuesday. We had a little yoga at work today. Just fed my animals, went for a little walk, and enjoying enjoying the week, enjoying trying to stay balanced and all the craziness out here. Yeah, I really enjoyed what you were talking about, Greg. So I felt that for sure. Mm, yeah, I'm here. I'm gonna be listening. I'm just chilling. How are you, Ray?
Doing good. It's been
Mm.
tumultuous in my heart center, as Allegra said. That's where I work from is heart medicine a lot, and
Yeah.
a lot of discord and disease happening, and just a lot of spiritual warfare happening, and the
Mhm.
call to still engage with each other and to look beyond all
That's
these things and to tune into the frequency. And it's been very loud. I didn't want to even get online last week, honestly. One, I was sick, but I don't believe there's a separation between spiritual sickness and physical sickness. But the barrage of noise, and it's hard to filter out and just. I'm getting on the app and I'm gonna post my message for the day and get off. But there's just so much travesty and just negative energy that wants to steal our energy. And I was so drained. I let it take me because I feel like I need to care. I need to care about all the terrible things that are happening, and I do care. But what's more responsible is to create the light energy, to share the light energy.
Yes.
The demonic energy out here wants to steal that and reap on it.
Yeah.
And just bring you down. And so what's most rebellious right now is to remain loving and in peace. And
Yes.
ego is telling me, oh, people are going to think you're not caring enough, or you're privileged, or you're just ignorant, when it's not true. I feel it. I can't escape it. I'm connected to it. And it doesn't mean I'm not feeling it. But even though I come online and share a light message, it's coming from the depth of I am on the ground with you. I'm experiencing this with you, but we are responsible for creating better. Not running from it, not living off grid somewhere or turning off the phone and ignoring it all, but create more light energy and the gathering of community that is diverse. I will not let go of diversity of thought, diversity of culture as being the new consciousness that is emerging. And Abai, I see you're ready to share your message for the day.
I missed everything, so I'm kind of
Good.
I don't know what kind of
well,
what
you
we.
have a recording, right? I mean, he can listen to the recording, right?
Yes, and
Which is good, you know.
Will as well.
So where does he live? Abioye. Where?
Uh, in well, I'm in the states. I'm in the United States, and I'm in
Good.
like Missouri.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and you know, but I don't know. Are we talking about community, or you just saying share what's on the heart, what's on the spirit,
Well,
rather the spirit, the
I always
heart?
put you in the hot seat. So now I'm going to directly ask you, what is the call on your spirit, specifically this week, witnessing what's happening at a global scale, at an internal scale, what's happening in our communities right now? What is the divine asking each of you specifically to execute in terms of creating conscious community, intentional community, despite all the things that we might be thinking different, that
Hmm.
we're arguing about, how government should be, how life should be? How can we dissolve all that and just come together and help each other? Greg was talking about, he said, the desire to want to help other people.
Hmm.
But we seem to lose that desire in the first place when we lose hope that there can be a better system.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, um, like I said, Greg and I we were on here last week, and we were able to just we discussed some very crucial things. I brought up a term that Dr. Joy DeGruy has established, and I've seen her all over the globe in London, all around the world, talking about post-traumatic slave syndrome. And it's a syndrome is different from a disorder. So the Africans suffer from this, whether they know it or not. And they're saying that it doesn't have a treatment plan, which is basically saying it doesn't have can't be cured. And Greg and I, we reached the agreement that yes, it can because it starts with you, but you have to be totally honest with yourself about everything. First of all, you have to be honest with yourself that there is something that needs to be addressed in order for any type of cure or anything to even begin. But you have 99.9% of the world, they have no idea that something needs to be, that they have an issue. So they're not trying to address it. And I feel like the world and the community are so caught up with physicality because it's the way that we've been taught about God. And it's like that's a word, and you turn it around and it spells dog. And I don't want to go into that, but I know where they got that from. I have a ring with which is Anubis, and Anubis is the one they call the man with the dog head. And Anubis' characteristics in ancient Kemetic times was he leads you in the afterlife to the throne of judgment. And that's where they got the concept of guide dog from Anubis. He guides you. And if you turn dog around, it spells God. And it's like, wow. And I feel like that's offensive because God is masculine and it deprives and it demeans the divine feminine. And it's like we have a mother and father in earth, but we don't, they say it as it is in heaven, so it is in
And
the
so,
earth. And they got those terms from Kemet, as above, so below, as within, so without. So it's like you got to put two and two together. And I'm where this is tapping in, going into what you're saying uh, to develop a org essence community which is based on the Christ, and that is your greatest spiritual self. It has to start with honesty. Love has to be in there, and we got to be truthful because you can't go around telling people no one has ever seen God, but yet you're calling God a he. And that last time I checked, you can't see a spirit. Spirits does not have a gender. How it does a spirit which is non-physical, and you've never seen it before, how can you tell me that it's a he or she? And you start putting these things together and you start to say, it makes a lot of sense. No, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's the truth, because you can't tell me that something that's non-physical has a gender. And so we've been taught exoterically, and all of these things are esoteric. They're sacred and they have a hidden meaning. Like there, a gentleman that I know, he has a channel. I think you pronounce it Ohenaba, and he talked about where Jesus told the disciples and the people that were standing there. He said, first of all, he said the kingdom of heaven is within you, and he said some of you standing here with me today will not taste death or will not see death until you see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. That was 2,000 years ago. Now, I'm quite sure that there's no one alive from 2,000 years ago to see someone coming on a cloud. And what that means is the kingdom of heaven is within you. When you tap into your Chris self, you experience the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. That's the esoteric meaning of that. And I'm like, wow, I'm glad I heard him say that because I can pass that on to you all. But we're sitting back looking for a person to come when the Christ is Christ. And that is within you if you know how to go within. Like I said, it starts with honesty, because you're not going to tap into these things being half-hearted and playing games, and one minute you're saying you're connected and the next minute you're conspiring to have somebody murdered, or you know what I mean, you're always gossiping, you're being negative. It starts with honesty. You got to be true. Love has to be the essence. And like I said, uh when him and I were talking about that, and we were saying, yeah, there is a cure, and the cure is you. It starts with you. And I brought up an example of, say all of us woke up this morning and we looked outside and we had garbage and trash everywhere. There was trash all over the place. Wouldn't you find it strange? The possums and the raccoons got in the trash and they got it everywhere, all of them down the driveway, all on the front porch. And your neighbor to the left and right has the same thing. The neighbor across the street, the neighbor behind you. Would you find it strange if someone walks through their garbage and trash in their yard to come help you clean up yours before they clean up theirs? I would find that really interesting because I'm wondering, you have to have a motive. You just walk past all your trash, walk through the trash to come over to help me clean up my trash. What's going on here? So it starts with self, and that's why you hear people all the time when you bring up certain things about slavery and things. Oh, that's the past. No, it's not. It has not been properly addressed. So it's not the past. It's still the present. But when you see someone like us putting forth that sufficient effort to have a balanced mind, as I think I heard Chris say something about balance earlier. That's a big word that I love to use. Balance. When you're putting forth the effort to balance yourself, have a balanced mind, and as the scriptures say, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 23 and 24 says, to be made new in the spiritual attitude of your mind, to put on a new self created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. So when you putting forth that effort to transform your mind and to be balanced and to practice righteousness, people, they it's almost like they get offended. One of my a female friend, girl, young lady that I know that has a channel, she said the term woke. I don't really like using it because I've never been asleep. You know what I mean? It's just weeding through all these things at once. And it's strange when it's an issue when you're trying to better yourself. I find it strange that everybody's complaining when you're trying to be a balanced spirit and balance your spirit and this physical life together because it's like a juggle. And it's an issue when you're trying to clean up your garbage before you go help somebody clean up their garbage. You can't. It's almost like you can't win for losing. So, back to the community. If you're honest, if you're doing that shadow work on yourself, and you can find individual spirits like ourselves that can come together, it generates a lot of spiritual power, vibration, and that's how true community is started. You know what I mean? And you just got to keep moving forward with it. And like you say, Rayleigh, with all the stuff going on,
Mm.
I just know that I'm here to enlighten those who have that desire for truth. Because you said it earlier.
Mm.
I think it was you really saying about running. And we already discussed it. When you're running from the truth, you're literally running from consciousness. And the last time I checked, God is truth and God is consciousness. So if you're running from the truth and you run from consciousness, you're literally running from the creator. And nothing's going to change. And people need to understand that love and the spirit by which we're communicating with right now, it can overpower anything. There's nothing more powerful than what we're doing right now. I'm just looking at the things that are happening, and it's literally my heart prayers go out to all of the individuals that died on these plane crashes. We didn't have two of them. We literally had a plane hit the ground. I was looking at reading about a little boy that when the plane hit the ground, they caught him the car that he and his father was in caught the car on fire, and the little 10-year-old boy, 90% of his body was burned, and they haven't told him that his father didn't make it yet because they don't know if it may upset him and it may kill him. So with all that going on, I feel like we can't be afraid to speak the truth because these are signs that we are we are there. You know what I mean? The time is now. It's now or never. You're going to make that decision to where you're going to remember your original spiritual self before any physicality and all of this the concepts of time. We are spirit before these things ever came to be, and you could just see everybody has fed the physical so much to where it has become their god, and it's like they have no recollection of their origin. And I feel like I'm here, and I say the same thing about you all. Man, we're literally here to tell the people the truth. We're here to let the people know that you don't have to go through somebody else to know who the universal prime creator is. And that they name God. And you have to be willing to be honest with yourself. And when you're honest with yourself, and you start to get get messages and these truths like the Akashic records and things like that. And I
Mm.
showed it to a neighbor of mine today, which is just basically it's a record of every thought, everything that has happened, et cetera, that has ever happened in the universe. And when you start getting these things, you start developing a language, as I heard Allegra was saying earlier. It's a language, man, that only those that are tapped into the Christ is only we're the only ones that can speak it. You can't fake it because it's the truth, and a liar can't pretend to be true. You know what I mean? Just like the truth doesn't need any help. The truth is going to always be the truth, whether you want to accept that or not. It doesn't need your help. But if you're going to operate in the truth, you can't be denied. Only those that are going to deny you are the ones that don't understand what truth is. You know what I mean? So community it starts with honesty. First of all, you have to have done the shadow work and done the work on yourself. You're going to still have things happening. There are going to always be some issues going on. But if you're willing to continue on regardless of what's going on, you I mean, I can see that being a person that's authentic. You know what I mean? You know, and the power that you need to help you continue and to give the others what they need, it'll be there. But it's got to start with being honest with yourself, and you get a group of people that are willing to be honest. That's where a unbreakable community starts, if that makes any sense.
Totally. And, I feel that you and I, like meeting everyone here today, I feel like we are the collective. You
Yeah.
know, I feel like all of us are points of light and we are all working together. And, we know who the betrayer is.
Hmm.
It's so clear. And it's like, it's not our job. We don't have much time here. How much
No.
time do we have here?
Mm.
We have to get down to it and
You're right.
and do the best that we can to help each other. And it's I just wanted to tell you something. I'm wearing a necklace. I started off my art career as a jewelry designer, a metalsmith, and I still have my tools here. And about 15 years ago, I did this design, and it just came out of my heart. I don't know how it came, but it is the symbol of the divine feminine. And
Hmm.
there is the Christ right there. And
Hmm.
it is the balance, like you were talking about, the
Hmm.
balance of the male and the female coming together. You know, you have a divine feminine within you. I have a
Oh,
divine
yes,
masculine. I have
yes,
a divine masculine in me. And I need
right.
to do some shadow work with that divine masculine because I feel like I've been doing battle as a woman forever. And,
Yes.
I raised two beautiful daughters who are feminists and who are, very planted and grounded to Mother Earth and their
Hmm.
values. But man, it's like, well, it turned out I did some research on this symbol. It turns out in the 15th century in England, there is a place called Glastonbury, England, and I must have had a past life there because it was a place where women ran because they were being persecuted.
Hmm.
And they went to the waters of Christ and they found protection, and they were healed, and they found how to get away from the evil forces. So humanity has been doing this a long time.
Hmm.
This isn't our first rodeo. I mean, we've been incarnated here many times.
Hmm.
And they said, well, do you want to go back to planet Earth and help out this time? I
Right.
sure do. Sign me up. I sure do, man, because they're going to need a
Yeah,
lot of help.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to
You
need a
know,
lot of help. And
the Ankh.
and
Mhm.
that's why music is so important, and being together on this soul level, because the divinity in you sparks my divinity,
Hmm.
and you know your truth makes my truth more clear. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
we balance each other with love. Basically, I think it's love. Bottom line, I'm saying it, you know. And it's a
Definitely.
collective love, and we just have to keep it on and just know that
Yeah.
it's more powerful than fear.
Yeah. No doubt.
That's a
But
bottom line. That's
like you were showing your symbol. Okay,
yeah,
this that loop at the top
yes.
represents the female. That's the womb. This is the male, and these are the offspring. It's
Oh
basically
wow.
it's unity. You know what I
Isn't
mean?
it
That
is
that's that
unity.
that's what the creator is. The creator is
It
duality. The creator is both. It's not just a he. And I mean, when you use your mind and you use your spiritual mind, all you got to do is connect the dots. There's no way that we have a mother and father here. We don't have a divine feminine
mm,
in the divinity as well. It's we've been taught half of the stuff, and then plus they've twisted that and turned it inside out, upside down, and backwards, and gave it back to us. Like, for instance, you know how people, oh, the Antichrist. They used to say the Antichrist was Ronald Reagan. Then they said
right.
it was another president. Then they said it was Barack Obama. When you go back to the scripture, Jesus told them the Antichrist is coming. And he said, in fact, has already come. People do, are we listening? It was said has already come. It's not a person, it's a state of being. Anti means not of. Antichrist means you're not of the Christ. It's not a person. It ain't even a group. It could be a group. It could be those. Put it like this. When you are operating, I'm just gonna just a a-hole. When you're being an a-hole,
Oh
that's
yeah,
antichrist. When you're being righteous, that
totally.
is the Christ. You see what I'm saying? So when we're being taught and we think that we're looking for a person, you will so deceived. And they let people they all they do is watch us. And however we respond to what it is that they place in front of us, that's how they feed it. They allow us to feed it and we make it what it becomes. Because it all of these things have a spiritual meaning to them, and it's all about divine purpose. And love is within divine purpose. Truth is within there. But like I
Totally.
said, you cannot have like Adam. They say the female came from his rib. Okay, so you have a whole adult human being coming out of a man's rib. Basically, they're saying he gave birth first. Why come we've never seen a man do that since then? I've only seen women do it since then. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And when you start using your brain, people, oh, you're the devil. You okay? When you start rebuking me, you're rebuking God. That's literally that's what I'll tell you because the truth hurts, and it's like you cannot be so vulnerable to the point to where you're so desperate to where you believe everything someone tells you. It may have some truth to it, but it might have a whole lot of confusion and a whole lot of lies mixed up there within there. Like I said, the female, the male, and the offspring is just like a symbol of unity. It's
Mhm.
balance. It's everlasting life, and it's just a symbol of protection. And like I said, man, you have to be willing to be honest with yourself because when y'all look around you, be honest. We have we see nothing but confusion and turmoil. If these things by the way that we have been given them, if they have such power, why come now you can't tell me you got about 8 people in the world. I think it may be one female in there that have more money than everybody combined in the world. You got a handful of people that have all that power as far as physicality. If power is in all this other stuff that we've been taught, we got millions of people that believe. Why come that vibration and the millions that believe is not enough power to overtake this little handful of people? Because something is hidden and we're not tapped into it correctly. The power is right in front of us, but we're continuously believing what we're being told instead of knowing. We believe everything, but we know nothing. You know what I mean? Believing just means you do not know. That's what that means. That's if you really want to just crack the nut right on the head and pop it open. Believing means you do not know. Believing is a start. There's nothing wrong with believing because you could believe, hey, I'm going to be successful. I'm gonna start me a channel, I'm gonna start me a business. But you won't know that until you're actually being it. You got to become what it like they, I believe in the Christ. I believe we're one in this, that, and the other. Okay, well, when you start operating in divine purpose,
Mhm.
honesty, truth, and love and upliftingness, now we know. Like we are literally the Christ in the physical. When we look at each other operating in that divine purpose and righteousness, we see the Christ. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's spiritual, we're looking at God in the physical. And I'm gonna be quiet after this. Again, I tell y'all, God is like the biggest tree that you can imagine. You can't see how far it grows up. The base of it is unfathomable, and
Mm,
then you see innumerable branches.
right.
Okay, God is the spiritual source, and then we are the extensions of that same spirit. And all you got to do is look at that tree. Are those branches separate from that tree? Absolutely not. Guess what? They're one. That means we are literally God. But they gave us religion. They started this color thing, and it screwed up our spiritual psyche. And now we look at everything physical, and it starts to separate us from our spiritual origin. And so now we don't understand. We're not separate from the creator because we are the branches, the extended branches. That we're not separate from that spirit. We were always meant to be one spirit. Now, when you start feeding negativity and doing evil and wicked things, yeah, you become something else. You don't come, you no longer come from where I come from. You have made a choice to make this other stuff your God. And so you're on your own with that, unless you if you can remember, if there's any smidget or just an iota of remembrance, you might be able to make it back. But when y'all look around you, it does. I don't see the evidence of people making it back because if they really had that desire, you would see people putting forth that effort to be willing to listen. Listen, just because somebody can speak something in a way you've never heard it before, or
Mm,
they can speak something to you that you've never heard before, that doesn't mean it's the devil. That doesn't mean it's your enemy. Listen, because you just might pick up something to make you say, wow, I never looked at it that way before. We are the extensions of the same spirit. That's all it's about, man.
mm.
We are God in the physical. We are goddess. And the universal prime creator. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Um, as you,
Let
Chris,
loose, let loose.
um, as you're speaking, for me in my consciousness, especially last week when I was just devastated, I was up all night thinking about how much I hate McDonald's. And if every
Mm,
McDonald's was replaced with a community garden and community kitchens, then starvation would be solved in America. And
mhm.
I can't get to the place of my true divine femininity where all I want to do is write poetry, grow gardens, feed people, take care of children, and pray at waterfalls. I can't do that unless there are
Mm,
people like Abai out here and Greg and Chris who are helping reframe the mind
mhm,
and psychology of everyone else around us who've built the society I have to live in. I didn't choose it. I was brought here.
Mm.
I
yeah.
can't function like that unless the consciousness is shifted towards the recognition that
Mm,
we're all divine, we're all God, and that
Mm,
mhm,
that's
mhm,
men
mhm.
building things. But I can't do that unless I have a safe space. So I love this
Yep.
little microcosm of the virtual medicine garden of, listen, I know most of my audience on YouTube, Instagram are Black men who just see a pretty woman and they're not really listening to what I say. But
mm,
Right.
the medicine garden recording and by changes their life because you're speaking things I know, but it's not going to be received until other voices are sharing the exact same thing.
Mm,
And that's
mhm, mhm.
medicine garden.
Yeah.
Um, so
Chris.
thank you for creating that space and that it is needed. So whoever is listening now or later, I need you to write down now in your mind and on paper, who are you serving? We should be
Mhm,
inclusive. Who are you
mhm.
serving and what is it going to look like? Because that's what I'm
Right.
about to release soon. And I know what
Yeah.
I want it to look like. I'm not going to host gatherings unless I know there's organic food. It's in a space for
Yes.
organic farming and gardening. There's space
Mhm,
to meditate and do yoga. There's space to workshop and to receive herbal medicines. That is constantly the creative space I'm going to continue to build. Whatever I do, wherever I go, because that's the world I want to live in instead of running from what I hate, McDonald's. But listen, there might be employees who work at McDonald's and CEOs of McDonald's who are who are they're catching up, right? And to take the power and to shift it. Um, yeah, the feminine is crying out, and she's needing more room and more space here, especially in
Yes.
America. And
We're not gonna make it.
I don't know if we'll see it in our lifetime, but I know that people we're teaching now and the younger people who listen, I know children watch this channel. They're the ones
Yes.
who might be able to do more of it. Okay.
And
Chris.
Chris has his hand up.
I was agreeing with a buy from. He always says some great stuff. From the beginning, uh, talking about the trash. You know, like, are you gonna walk through your trash to go help, your neighbor? And
Hmm.
I think, and from what you said, sometimes about people getting irritated, I deal
Yeah.
with that a lot,
Yep.
it then it becomes irritating to me, and I
Hmm.
can be a little sarcastic or
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I find myself just being quiet. But what I've
Hmm.
noticed is they might not want to hear it from you. So if you're putting out some good stuff and you're dealing with somebody who they might not want to
Hmm.
hear it from you, but they'll watch you and take it. They'll take it
Hmm.
from you, and you can just let them
Yeah.
get the game for
Exactly.
free, anyways. And
Right.
but I completely agree with you with that. And in terms of, I've had this like Jehovah's Witness coming to my house for like a year or so, whatnot. They'll come and I'll talk.
Hmm.
Like I'll step out on the porch and we'll chop it up. So the guy would come, he would talk about the Bible, and I was like, I haven't really read the Bible, but sometimes I'll see something and I'm like, I think like that. I agree with it, or it'll kind of almost solidify something. So we're talking, and I was like, I done made it through the New Testament and boop de boop. I'm asking him a few questions about things, and I was like, before I read the Bible, me and God were like this, like close, and after we still are close, and I kind of will talk sometimes about having like the paperwork. You got a piece of paper that says like you're brave. Are you actually brave? Or you got a piece of paper that says I'm a man of God or I'm holy. Are you actually that? So it's kind of show and prove. And I was just really agreeing with what you were saying, and
Hmm.
and thankful for this conversation because it's a
Yes. I
boost.
am
It's
always
definitely a
thankful.
It
boost
is.
through the week.
It's life
Yes.
affirming.
Yes,
Yes, it
yeah,
is.
It's
yeah,
life affirming, really.
Yes.
Well,
yeah,
Yes.
it's knowing that we are all part of the collective in our heart. That to me is everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
And we just have to keep it on, keep it going on,
Yes.
and not surrender to the fear mongering. It's just
Mm.
bullshit.
Right. You
It is.
like the fear of death. The fear of everybody's afraid of dying, but when you look around you, you're already dying. So why be afraid to speak the truth when you're already dying anyway? Just
Yeah.
go ahead and do it. And then, like I said, you can't kill spirit anyway. And if you're already tapped into the Christ and you're in the physical body and you're speaking like we're speaking, if they kill the body, they got a problem because you still have power in the unseen to do things in the physical.
Mm,
That's a great mistake on their behalf. That's why they make movies about ghosts all the time, but they try to scare you about it. I'm not worried about death. I'm gonna speak it,
mm,
and then, like I say, once they start hearing you speak like that, they know to back off because they know that he and she knows that they are spirits and that they're not bodies, as the Bible says they're gods and goddesses, and they evidently we tapped into it because, like we were saying earlier, Chris just said they could try to steal the stuff that we're talking about, but here's the catch: they cannot teach it because they don't understand it. You understand what I'm
yeah,
saying? It
yeah,
takes the spirit that's connected to the art to be able to teach what it is we're talking about. You can't teach this stuff, man. You can hear it all day long. You can try to steal it, plagiarize it, write it down, when it comes to being able to break this down and explain it to somebody, first and foremost, you're going to have to already be being it in order for them to be willing to want to hear what you're saying anyway. Then, secondly, you ain't going to be able to explain it to them because you have no or spiritual connection. So you basically wasting time. You can steal it all you want to, but you can't teach it. You can't break it
Yeah.
down.
Well,
That's what I told the dude too. I said, kind of once you put stuff down on paper, if somebody gives you some game and I put it down, you
Hmm.
could you could mimic it. You're
Yes.
not really gonna be original, and you could. That's as far as you can get, and
Yep.
somebody is gonna know when you're fraudulent. I
Absolutely.
um I would coach, and sometimes you coach with somebody else, and you guys kind of bump heads. You might have a
Hmm.
different style, but I always used to say when you're dealing with somebody in the truth, you guys might bump heads and then you walk off into the sunset. Egos might clash, but if you're true about your intentions and the greater goal of the team, you guys are going to walk hand in hand. So it's that always comes out to be, you know,
Yep.
show as well.
hmm,
All right, family.
okay.
I need to carry on some things with the night. But thank you so much for sharing your time with me and sharing your wisdoms and sharing where you are in your consciousness. I'm going to ask that we all meditate further on how are we going to break down the spiritual teachings that we receive into
Hmm.
gatherings for the community, for the public, like actually host events. Each of you invite me.
Yes.
I will be inviting.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Greg, I
Thank
know
you.
we have more conversations in the future happening. And sorry, I'm slow slow to catch up here about really connecting across the globe here. And
Okay.
it is safe for us to receive divine inheritance for the spiritual teachings we have, but we have to ground it so that the collective can receive it. Right? In services, writing books, creating businesses, creating medicines. Chris makes awesome products. Allegra's art. So that's what I'm trying to push us to continue seeing and creating. I'm here to specifically, my sole mission is to help pivot the economy and how people make money in this world to be more spiritual, to be more love-based, and to actually see it happen. And it was the removal of fear. I don't care what happened to me. I'm going to live in my truth. That's what broke me free into full-time service and entrepreneurship. And then everything else in the universe came to support that love. And
Yeah.
it broke free early. There's many reasons why. I don't know. But I want to see more of it. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for inspiring me tonight. And thank you for inspiring everyone who's going to listen. And I love all of you. I wish you peace and
Yes.
health and joy. And I'll hopefully see
Mer.
you again next week. Talk soon. Good night.
Yes.
Good night.
Much mer.
Peace.
Much mer
Peace.
to you all.
Okay.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Later,
Greg.
bro. Later.
You ready? Good seeing you, man.